Psalm. As you were reading, you must have noticed this is a lament. You can see a lot of cry, and it starts with a distress. A distressed man is calling out to God in prayer. The first verses 1 to 11, it is more like an individual request. He is talking about his situation, and he is in distress, and he's calling out to God. Then he does a lot of confessions about God, and then the prayer actually changes. It takes a turn, and then it becomes a prayer about Zion, prayer about Jerusalem. It's more of a corporate petition. So we don't really know the background of this, but probably this is a prayer that somebody made during the exile. So they are in distress, they are going through these difficulties, but the hope here is if God would bless Zion, God would bless Jerusalem, the individual would also be delivered through that. And that is how the psalm goes. And the heading of this psalm is a little more detailed than usual. It says, a prayer of one afflicted when he is faint and pours out his complaint before the Lord. He's pouring out his heart, his complaint before the Lord. If you look at the first 11 verses, this person, we can see a kind of life that he is leading. He is completely broken. He is lonely. He is in distress. He calls himself smoke, which is no value. And he forgets to eat because he is in such sorrow and distress that he forgets to eat. He says he lie awake, means he cannot sleep. And he has enemies all around. So if you look at this man's life, there is not even a single thing that is right. He cannot eat, he cannot sleep, there are enemies all around, and he is in such distress. And it talks about the pain in the bone. So it's an expression, and that's to the core. He is distressed to the core, and he's in such bad situation. And then he says in 10 verse 10, because of your indignation and anger, you have taken me up and thrown me down. ESV talks about, you have taken me up and thrown me down. I think NKJV says, you have cast me out, or something like that. But I was thinking, he has expressed the worst, right, what God can do. God just took him and just threw him down because of the sins and the condemnation he has. And he realizes that situation, and he is going through this distress. But in verse 12, there's a big change. When we go through, we may think a person is going through all these situations and he may ask, what did I do wrong? Why are you doing this to me? Did I not do all these things? But his confession is so different. He's saying, but you, O Lord, are enthroned forever. You, O Lord, are enthroned forever. It's everywhere chaos in my life. There is nothing going right in my life. But you, O Lord, you remain the same. You stay in control. When they write you are enthroned, they are thinking about probably the ark of God and the presence of the Lord, the invisible presence of the Lord that is reigning or dwelling in between the cherubims. He's saying everything is going wrong. We are in distress. Nothing is right. I'm not even able to sleep or eat. There's no blessings or nothing, no blessings that I can see in my life. But, oh Lord, even though the things are wrong, you still reign. You are king. Not just you will be king. You are king forever. And you can see the generations praised you. So the psalmist is worshiping God and understanding, oh God, who you are. He has a lot of questions. He doesn't know when this will end, but he's saying he's resting in the fact of who God is. And there are so many attributes of God in this psalm. And that is one attribute what I share right now. A God who is in control of all the situation. We say God is sovereign. If you read rest of the part, you will see the kindness of God, the faithfulness of God. And this prayer, even though this is such a bad situation, his prayer is always based on who God is. He's making the character of God the center of his petition. Lord, I'm going through all these things, but I know that you are in control of these things. You are enthroned, and therefore I'm going to submit my request before you, and you will bring it to pass. And that is a good model of prayer. Here it says, you are enthroned forever. And we know that the fact that God is sovereign over everything, he's in control over everything, is one of the most beautiful attributes of God that we see. That gives us comfort in many situations, especially all the things that's going on around in this world. The only fact that will give us the comfort is, oh Lord, things are very bad, but we know that you are still in charge, and you are seated on the throne, and you are reigning in the midst of all these things. And this is not only just a fact that we can always say. If you see his request again in verse 13, you will arise and have pity on Zion. It is a time to favor her. The appointed time has come. You see the fact that he believes that God reigns, and his prayer is reflecting that acknowledgement. He's not saying, God, you just work, but it is qualified. Lord, the time that you have set, because you are in control, you have ordained it, that appointed time, can that be now? We are struggling here, we are waiting for that time, but can that time be now? Let that appointed time be now. He's acknowledging, Lord, you are in control, and you have set times and appointed times for everything to happen, and you know the reason behind it. We trust in your wisdom, but we want to submit under that. But can that happen right now? That appointed time, that is acknowledgement. That is a response that the psalmist has, because he believes in a God who is sovereign, who believes in a God who is in control of these things. He's not believing in a God who would, give things as he wants. I was thinking about this appointed time and our culture, right? We finish this church, right? Then we think, where do we want to go for lunch, right? You want kottu parota, you go to one place. You want Mediterranean, you go to other place, right? You have all these choices, and everything is on demand, right? You just drive there, you get your food, and you go home. You wanted something, you got it right now, right there. If you place an order, if they're late for one hour, you get frustrated, right? You have an expectation. I place this order, I am going to a store, and that should be open right now. They should allow me to go. If there's waiting, I'm frustrated. Yeah, I go there. Then after that, you go home. Then you think, oh, what should I watch? Then you go to Netflix. You have Amazon Prime. You have all those things, and everything is on demand. Everything is on demand. I was thinking, what was the world like before Amazon, Netflix, and social media? You had cable TV. I don't even know if the youths know about cable TV. It has many channels. It is broadcasted. You have to watch that program. You cannot change. You can change channel, but you cannot change the. You have to watch that. And even if you go back, when I grew up, we had one channel. It's called Doordarshan. And you had one movie in a week that happened Sunday evening. And it could be a movie, the hero would be Nasir, it could be Mohanlal. It doesn't really, you cannot control it. It happens once in a week, and you have to sit there and watch. We don't have this culture of waiting. We have everything on demand. We can control things. We can get information, everything. And there's another, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about Abraham's life. Abraham got the first promise from God in Genesis 12 when he was 75. Right? Then many things passes, and when it comes to Genesis 17, he is 99 years old. And God is talking to him, and Abraham says, okay. Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. See, God, it's been such a long time. See, I already have Ishmael. Why do I need to wait for again another child? Why don't you just bless him? He is also my child. He is getting impatient, and it's just one more year before he blesses with Isaac. but he doesn't want to wait. But in Genesis chapter 18:14, it's the angels or the three men of God visits Abraham, and they say this: "Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." At the appointed time, God will work in our lives. Can we trust this God, whom we believe He is so powerful? He's full of grace. He's full of mercy. He is gracious to us and powerful, and He controls everything that happens in our situation. Can we trust this God and wait until His appointed time and walk before Him blamelessly? This waiting is not just sitting. Waiting is being obedient and walk before Him. And to Abraham, God says, "Walk before me blamelessly," which means you walk before me. That is the usage where it says you walk as a representative of mine. You haven't received your promises yet, but will you walk before me and trust the appointed time? A sovereign God is going to work. And that is one of the beautiful things in this prayer. Situation is so bad, but the appointed time has come. He's just telling the Lord, "Lord, this is the time. Would you restore?" And the background of this might be the Babylonian captivity, and he knows that 70 years, that the time that God has kept, probably he's looking forward to that. But a sovereign God has ordained things. He's controlling this world, and there is a time for everything. Would we submit ourselves and pray to this God? And one more verse I'll just read. In verse 19, it says, "He looked down from His holy height. From heaven the Lord looked at the earth to hear the groans of the prisoners, to set free those who were doomed to die." God looked down from heaven, and He could see all these prisoners who was groaning to be delivered. Ephesians 2:1 says, "And we were dead in our trespasses." When God looked down, all He could see, all these people, rebellious people, living them for themselves. And what did God do? God set a time for His salvation. And that's what we read in Galatians chapter 4, verse 4 to 5. "But when the set time had fully come," when the appointed time had fully come, "God sent His Son, born of a woman, born under law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption to sonship." God has His own time, and He's working through the history. He's working in our lives, and every minor thing He's working. In Proverbs we read, right, even a dice is thrown, God has already determined those things. That means even the random things He knows, even the random things He controls. Can we submit ourselves to this holy, sovereign, gracious, loving God until all these things pass? We may have questions, and we have to live with questions. You may not have the answer, but would you still trust the Lord and submit to Him? May God bless you with this.